conversation with Kausar Kidwai. Vinita Dawra Nangia is an executive editor with Times of India. The blog O-Zone reflects her insights into life, relationships, and contemporary living, offering a fresh and more evolved look at ourselves and the world we dwell in. The blog puts forward practical and feel-good ways of dealing with contemporary chaos and the internal struggles. She would be in conversation with Kausar Kidwai. Kausar Kidwai works as a state programmer, manager cancer program in Madhya Pradesh. She has a work experience of more than 10 years and she's also worked with Fab India in New Delhi. I request Mrs. Kausar Kidwai to please have a seat and I would request Mrs. Kidwai to carry forward the discussion.
Thank you very much. Good morning and welcome everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Yes. Okay, so I don't need a mic. It's day 2 at the Bhopal Literary Festival and this is the 3rd session at Harvard. And the book that is in conversation today is Reimagine Your Life, and we have the author with us, Vinita Dawra Nangia. Welcome to Bhopal, Vinita, and we're very happy to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
How many of us, before we begin, how many of us have reimagined our lives? I just want to know. Yeah, so I'm also one of them who reimagined their lives. I welcome you all this wonderful Saturday morning. And I assure you that these 40 minutes are definitely going to instigate the reimagination part if you have not reimagined your lives until now. The first half of the... The first half of the session is going to be dedicated to the conversation and the second half to the question and answer round. As Vinita has already been introduced, she's the Executive Director, Author and Columnist with Times of India Group. She is also the Director of Times Literature Festival. Vinita specializes in societal trends and dialogues on relationships and life. Her popular column on Sundays in Times of India, O-Zone, is an ongoing commentary on contemporary living. And that's how my 15-year-old daughter Alia also connects with Vinita, as this generation understands the importance of ozone and the harmful effects of depletion. Without any further delay, Reimagine Your Life, the title. I would want to know from you, what does reimagining your life mean, and what do the butterflies on the cover page symbolize?
Good morning and welcome to the session, and a special welcome to the little baby in the pram I see over there. This is the first ever. I've never had somebody come in a pram to participate in my session. I hope he or she has some questions. So very happy to be here in Bhopal, and this is the second time I'm coming for the first edition last year, and now again here back in this lovely environment. This book is an anthology of my columns. It's the 4th edition, the 4th anthology of my column O-Zone. And every time it's a struggle to think of what to call it. The first one was It's Your Life. And interestingly, that's the one that did best of all, because people associate me with writing on life and relationships. We call the second one Love Is Always Right. And that did not do as well as the first one. So we stuck to the Re-Inspire Your Life, Reimagine Your Life. So those were the 2 titles that we were thinking about. And it takes up from my columns, the title itself. It's like, what I write about most of the time is about the kind of choices that we have in life, and how, that you are not limited by your circumstances, but you're limited by your imagination, and you're limited by the choices the options that you give yourself. And so if you limit your imagination and you don't think that there is a possibility of a choice and a change in life, then that is your limitation and you don't go for it and all that. So Reimagine Your Life is like, every weekend in my column, I throw up questions encouraging people to think about issues, think about circumstances in their life that they may be pushing to the back of their minds and not really giving much thought to. I don't give solutions. I don't give a direction to the choices that you should make. I throw up the questions and I talk about the issue. Because how can a columnist give, suggest a choice or suggest something to people to do, since everybody's circumstances are so different and everybody's perspectives about life and about events is so different. The only thing that I do is prompt people to think and rethink. Are you happy with your life the way it is? Are you evolving? Because I think it's very important to keep evolving, and if you are something today, to being able to say a year later, what have I achieved in this 1 year? What have I become? What direction have I taken which makes me a better person and a better achiever this year than I was last year? So are you able to answer that question for yourself? Am I better at my relationships? Am I a better people manager? Am I a better everything, whether it is personally or professionally? And how can you do that? You can only do that when you give yourself that space and that time to examine and re-examine your life, to give yourself that quiet space to sit and allow the inner workings of your mind and your soul to take over. And I've often seen that this is the time when, which I think are the perfect moments of your life, the perfect moments that are created when you're sitting quietly all by yourself and you just go into a kind of a trance and you allow the inner workings of your mind to take over. And that's the time all creative ideas come to us. That's the time you really, the things that you've been worrying about, thinking about, they suddenly emerge and suffuse your mind and yourself, and you think about what are the things that you can do, the next steps that you need to take to be able to bring some more inspiration and happiness to yourself.
And the butterflies on the cover page?
Butterflies always, they symbolize a new beginning, they symbolize beauty, they symbolize the coming out of the chrysalis and fluttering away into life. So happiness, freedom of thought, of imagination.
So should we say that Vinita reimagines her life every week?
Not every week, that would be too much. But yes, I very often, not just reimagine, but I shake up my life. Like you remember that, I remember in childhood there used to be this kaleidoscope which you shake up and it just takes on different images and different, I don't know if in your childhood it was there, at least in my childhood it was. So there was this very simple toy that you shake it up and there were bits of broken bangle in it, and the pieces would rearrange themselves into some kind of a pattern. And then you shake it again and the pattern would change. So I always think of my life like that, like a kaleidoscope, and it has to change. It has to, the patterns have to keep re-emerging. And that's what I try to do through my columns also. Keep encouraging readers to break the patterns of their thought, break the patterns of life, and to think about and imagine a new pattern and a new shape emerging. There has to be some disruptive thinking in order to move ahead. Otherwise, there's always the danger of settling into whatever you're doing and being contented and complacent. So I would rather that we were dissatisfied with whatever, after some time with whatever you've done, because you want to move ahead and you want to do something better.
Actually, thank you. So a writer, a management professional, an entrepreneur and a bureaucrat's wife, what exactly, which role would define you the best? And which one do you enjoy doing the most?
I just enjoy being myself the most, really, and just being me and the way I am, and trying to do the best that I can by all the people in my life and all the opportunities and the things that you keep doing around. Like I often say that when you stand, you go to your children's school for a PTA meeting, you're their mother. When I'm with my husband, I'm his wife. And in office, I'm an editor with the Times of India. So when you stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself, and that is when you ask yourself, who am I? Who am I really? And that is a very big question for all of us. And the answer to which I think is very, very important to find. A lot of my columns deal with that. Again, like I said, I don't give any answers because how can I? How can I give answers for millions of people and telling them who they are? That's something for them to find out. But I do give directions and I do give indications of how you can do that. Again, you have to retreat within yourself and you have to ask yourself the questions like, what is it that I really enjoy doing? So for myself, the answer has always been that, I love it when I'm writing. I love it when I get lost in my own imaginings and thinking. I love it when I get lost in the imagination and thinking of other intelligent and creative people. I think all of us should do that, partake of the creativity and the intelligence of other people, be it in movies, be it in books, be it in artistic content, be it in conversations, coming to a festival like this and hearing people talk. It's very important because you pick up ideas and you pick up inspiration and then you adopt that and adapt it to the kind of life that you are living and you're thinking, and that all that really adds to your existence. I love doing all of that all the time.
If I just read the topics that you've written on, things are very, very simple, like what are you looking forward to? How do you know you are right? You cannot be anyone but you. From where do these thoughts come and what triggers ozone is what I would like to know.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question and I get this asked quite often. Initially when ozone started, quite honestly, I didn't even know what this column is going to be all about, and I just thought, okay, I need to start a column. Years before that, I had written a column on fashion, and after that I started writing a column which was a high society column, and that's what became page 3 later. And then I wrote on relationships. Then I took a long break when I was not writing, and then one day I just decided, okay, I have to start my column again, and I had no idea what I'm going to be writing on. So I just started this column. A lot of people ask me, why do you call it ozone? Again, there was really no great thinking to it. There was a long list of ideas what I'm going to be calling the column. And ozone, there's a dash between O and zone, if you notice. So I kept just thinking that, okay, if it turns out to be a naughty column, it's still ozone. And if it turns out to be a column where you're talking about life and relationships and where you take your life from now on, then again, it's the protective layer ozone. So it veered towards the second idea more really. But the column itself, when I started off, it really, in the second or the third column, probably it started taking direction already. I think I was inspired. And as I keep saying, my column is my guru. It's my column that has led me along paths and taught me a different way of looking at life. So it's something that I'm very grateful for, because every weekend when my column comes out and people say, okay, I'm able to relate to it, and this is exactly what I was thinking of. This is very surprising. A lot of people tell me that this is what I was going through and I was thinking of, and I had this problem, and your column answered, gave a response to me. I feel at that point that there obviously is an energy which is much higher than me or mine, which is working through me for this column. And ozone itself talks about, sorry, what was your question that you started off with?
I just wanted to know what triggered ozone.
Okay, the ideas that come from ozone, yes, of course. So it's the ideas for writing, what I write, come from, it could come from everyday conversations that I have with people. It could come from a movie I watched, sometimes even a word may trigger it off, a sentence. Most of the time they come when I'm sitting in the car and just, going to office and thinking, and some idea pops up. It comes from everyday situations and reality, and the questions that I face in my life, whether in my relationships or my work or my interactions with people. So instead of lashing back at anything or being, reactive, I try to internalize it, think about it, and then think of how I can put it forth, how I can express it. And sometimes that helps a lot, because even if I have to give out a message to my husband, for instance, I can do a relationships column, and he'll read it and he'll understand it's about it. Interestingly, a lot of other people started relating to that, and then that is when I understood that anything that I've going through, anything I am worried about or thinking about is not something that is just my worry or my thought. It's something that I share with so many people out there, and everyone is able to, and that is one of the biggest blessings of, has been one of the biggest blessings of this column, that it taught me the connection that we all share, how connected we are, how our thinking is alike, how our imagination, our ideas, our ideals, everything is so connected. And that gives you a very reassuring feeling to be able to know that you are connected to other people, your thoughts, your ideas are the same as others. And I think that is a role that my column plays.
What I've understood, you really like writing about relationships, even if it is communicating with your husband. I read in one of your blogs that love is something which is very, very important, and you mentioned better love. So I would want to know what love actually is to you, and what is your idea of better love? Have you experienced it?
See, love is of course of various kinds. There's that romantic love which suffuses your entire life, and when you fall in love you imagine this is it and there's nothing else beyond it, and all your senses take over and you can't think beyond. But that kind of romantic love comes with an expiry date. It has to end, because you cannot be in that state forever. You just cannot. It's not physically possible then to be in that state. To move on in life, you have to get out of that state. And that kind of romantic love, I think you can have with several people in your life, because it will only last for a short while and then move on. A lot of people think about this: can we be in love with the same person at the same time? I would say you cannot be in the same kind of love with more than you can't be romantic love with more than one person at the same time. But at various points in life, yes, why not? You can be. But real love and better love, of course, is the kinds where you move on from there and you accept the other person as you would accept yourself. And someone who you are closely associated with, related with, be someone who you believe in, you trust in. It's very difficult to, you need to be totally fearless to be able to trust another person. You need to be fearless to be able to love another person in that way, because you're exposing your vulnerabilities in a love that is that deep, and you're laying yourself open to the other person. And when you love like that, when you're able to allow another person to see all the chinks in your armor, all the good and the bad within you, and not feel that the person will love you less for it, and you accept and you feel accepted back, that to me is true love. You have it with your children. At least when they're small, they get up and they start criticizing you, that's another matter, but they still love you and you love them back. So true love does not mean you don't criticize each other, you don't dislike each other at certain times. I think it's very important to understand you cannot love all of another person, nor can you completely be loved by another person. There will be things in your best loved person in your life which you hate. There'll be certain characteristics you hate, and then you start feeling guilty. Oh, I love this man, but why am I hating him at this moment? Because that hate is also part of that love. But there comes a time when you're able to understand that it is not love or hate as much as it is acceptance. Accepting the person as you accept yourself. I love myself, I hate myself. So what if I love and hate the other individual as well? He is mine and I am his.
And yes, love does lead to happiness. I believe in that, truly. You just mentioned chinks in the armor, and another blog of yours talks about why are people so complex. I would definitely like you to read, something from the book. Okay, I'll read it out. Sure.
So how many people here think about, love in the same way as I spoke about it? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes, you do?
So it's a loud yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to read out something that Kausar wants me to read. So this is why are people so complex? Most people are complicated. They have layers within layers. If you ever come across the few uncomplicated souls, those who really are what they seem, value and cherish them. Dealing with the rest is like negotiating daily human landmines. You never know which misstep may set them off. I am fine with people who confront others with an issue and seek clarification or a solution. I am also fine with those who dislike another person openly. That's honest. The ones I am most wary of are those who, pretending to be friends, are actually looking for chinks in your armor to exploit your vulnerabilities. The other type that worry me are the insecure people because they lack self-confidence and are perpetually seeking to push others in the face of danger.
Complexity is something that even my daughter would kind of relate to. So this is something which caters to a very wider audience, which is why I wanted you to read this out and explain as to why people are complex and how to deal with complex people.
Is your daughter here?
Right there.
Okay. Hi. So, ultimately, we have all kinds of people around us, and this is a lesson that I also learned late in life, that you cannot change other people. They will be what they are, they remain what they are. The only person you can change is yourself, and the way you react to other people. You cannot change situations, but you can change the way you respond to a situation and the way you look at it. Similarly with people. So maybe we also seem complicated to other people. I may think I'm so simple, but another person might find me the most complex person that they've ever come across. So it really, depends on at what level you are able to connect with another person. All of us, obviously, we have to be, we have different perspectives, we have different roles to play in life. Our thoughts go all over. At any one point, if you really think about what all you're thinking of right now, I could be thinking something about one person sitting in the audience, worrying about someone there who's not paying attention and maybe doesn't like what I'm saying, happy about the girl sitting in the front who's so dedicatedly listening to every word I say. So there are so many thoughts that keep going on in our mind, and you never know which thought sparks what. So obviously it's very complicated to the person outside because you don't know what I'm thinking, I don't know what you're thinking right now. So rather than worrying about what complications the other person's made of, I think the best thing to do is do your work, live your life, understand what makes you happy, understand what inspires you, understand what you think is the purpose of your life, live that to the full. And don't worry too much about what other people are or how they are. Like I said here, it's the insecure people that scare me the most. Because a person who honestly comes up to you and tells you, I hate you. So you'll say, why do you hate me? And you'll try and understand why. Another person will come and say, oh Vinita, I love all this that you're doing, but this is one thing I can't understand. Why do you do that? Again, very good. But somebody who's so insecure that they'll do whatever they're doing behind your back, and on the face of it, they'll be very charming and very good. Those are the kind of people who used to scare me. Today, they don't scare me because one has to evolve beyond that, go beyond it and understand that that's their problem, it's their karma, not mine. I have to think about what to do with my life, there's so little time. If I keep wasting time in spending time with such kind of people or, absorbing their negativity and their negative energies, when am I going to do the things I really want to do in life? So the most important thing is to list out what you want to do, what gives you happiness, what you understand is the ultimate purpose of life. When you go away from this world, what is it that you would have liked to achieve? Today morning I read a very interesting WhatsApp forward that came to me, Kausar, and this was, somebody said that die empty. And die empty to them means that somebody asked this person, which is the richest land, and he started naming countries with oil wells and all, and he said no, a cemetery is the richest land, because in a cemetery lie so many people who had so many ideas and they've taken all those ideas with them. So then from here came the thought that one should die empty, which means all the ideas that you have, all the good thoughts, all the love that you have, spread it out in this world before leaving the world. So when you go away, go empty. Don't go with all that stuff.
That's a very beautiful message that I believe everyone is going to take home from this session. Talking about the column ozone and what you write about, life and inspirations. It's the urban youth and the other people in the urban society that are now realizing the importance or probably are being cognizant of emotional hunger and mental hunger. There is another section of the society, and we all know that there is this urban and rural divide. They don't even understand that beyond needs, emotional and mental needs do exist. I think your experience, the 15, 20 years that you've been dedicatedly doing this, it's time to take this to a wider audience. How do you think you can bridge this gap, and which section of the society do you think you would be leveraging upon?
That's a very deep question and a very well-meaning, well-intentioned thought, really. I used to worry about this a lot at one point, that there are good thoughts which are not reaching out to enough people. There are ideas which are not reaching out to enough people. And why are people not understanding? And then ultimately, after worrying about it for a number of years, I realized that you can only do what you can do. And beyond that, there's no idea in even worrying about what happens beyond that. I heard somebody say once, in fact I was told this, that only bother about people who are 2 mental levels below you and 2 mental levels above you. The rest will not understand you. So far as you're able to reach these people, it's enough. So you can't reach out to everyone. You can do what you can do. So long as you can reach out to these, and then everybody, all our lives, every day on an everyday basis. Another thing I used to worry about a lot was, see, we all know good people in our lives and we all know evil people. So you're good to the good people. Should you be bad to the bad people? That's a question that, I always used to worry about. And you cannot be bad because you're good. You're intrinsically good, so it's very difficult to be bad to another person. But then, should you invest energy in trying to make that bad person a better person? Or should you invest that time and effort for a person you know is a bad person? And then again, I read somewhere in one of these, books, and where it's interesting. I mean, it's the kind of a book where automatic writing. So it was these parents who lost their children. They were I'm not remembering the name of these guys. They're living in Mumbai. So they were doing this automatic writing, which their sons from the other world were dictating to them. And then this woman asks the same question: that should you be good to an evil person? And the answer that came from there was, no, don't invest energy on goodness in time and space to an evil person, because what you're doing is you're helping evil, you're helping badness and negativity. So I thought a lot about that again, and it was not something I was comfortable with. And then ultimately I think one should just be oneself and follow one's instinct and listen to yourself at any moment of time, and be good or bad to whoever you want to be good or bad to, but mostly good, not bad.
This is really beautiful, and I think I should now throw the question and answer now, the floor to the audience now, and I would like you all to ask Vinita anything that you would want to know from her. And
my question was basically that, if a person is very just has like a big heart and knows that is tending towards helping the society, so would it be, I don't know, helpful that he really tries to some extent to alter this thinking process of the person who's being a little bit, suppose like a bully, to help them think that this is not how things should be done, because ultimately even an evil person, good, I don't believe there's such thing as total evil. So even this good person might have some ray of light in there. So to try to bring that out, would that be like a good thing to do?
Yes, absolutely. It is a very good thing to do, and we should all try to do that in our lives, but with the understanding that you're not going to be able to change much. You may be able to inspire a thought that could probably lead to more thoughts and help somewhere, spark an interest and spark an understanding somewhere. Because frustration will come in when you get obsessive about it and think, okay, I'm going to change this person completely, I'm going to do it. That's when you'll start feeling frustrated. So I would say spark a thought, leave it there, and move on.
Good afternoon. As you said about acceptance, so I want to know that there's a saying that you cannot love someone if you know them fully. If you know them fully, you can't love them. Just as you said, that it's about acceptance. You hate some part of them, you love some part of them. So how to deal with it? If you know someone fully, and how to deal with the hate, and how to deal with the acceptance, and try to be satisfied, how to deal with that?
That's why they call love blind. You have to be blind to certain things. So one of the columns that I wrote was loving people with eyes half closed. So you have to, and not just in love, even in your everyday relationships, one has to learn the art of focusing on the aspects of a relationship which you can relate to and which make you happy. And to learn, which is a little bit more difficult, learn to ignore the rest of it. It happens with a lot of our friends. I mean, I have a friend who I connect with and I'm very happy with whenever we meet, and we talk a lot. But there are certain aspects of her which I do not, maybe my sense of ethics cannot connect with. I just can't. And there was a problem for a long time till I realized that no, I have to let that be. And that's again she and her karma. And I should not give up on a friendship for this. And we should be able to focus on only the good points. And if you practice that, it is very possible.
Hi Vinita, one of the things I've always pondered upon is the fact that we seek so much solace in stuff like religion. When I think what we really need to be doing is learning how to love ourselves and finding our validation from our own selves. How do you love yourself with all the messages that keep coming, that you're not good enough, you're not. Society keeps giving us all sorts of conflicting messages all the time.
Yeah, well, the basic thing is to listen only to yourself and to your instinct, and to know that you are capable of being loved, and you are a loving human being. So again, sometimes it takes a lot of work, because sitting here I can very easily say, oh, why not just love yourself, it's so easy, and why should I believe anything anybody else says about me? But it's very difficult to reach a stage where you can achieve that, where what others say doesn't matter to you. But again, I think it's a message that parents need to keep giving to their children, teachers need to keep giving to the children, that your real confidence and your value comes from within you, and from what you do and your thoughts and the values that have been inculcated in you, and not by anything that others say about you. So it's something that really has to start very young, and children have to be taught that, and parents and teachers really need to work hard at this and keep giving that message again and again to children. I wrote about fearlessness and fear just yesterday in my column, which will come out next Sunday. That again, I feel, sometimes I think even parenting is a skill that we feel comes to us automatically, but you do need to learn it. You do need to understand. So when our children, I was telling you yesterday, this is what I wrote there in the column, that when our children are very small, we keep telling them, don't be scared, go out there, fight with him. If he hits you, hit him back. Why are you scared? Nothing will happen to you. And then they go into adolescence and we are telling them, please be a little scared at least. Don't drive a motorcycle, don't go out onto the road, be scared. So you taught them fearlessness, and then you're teaching them fear. Because you feel that both things are very important to learn, which is true. And then what they learn themselves is how to strike a balance between the two. There are certain things that we need to fear, it's very important. There are other things we must never fear, that's again very critical to life. Similarly, and you would know, I'm sure you're just being too generous by asking this question, Kiran, that we have to teach everyone to love themselves. That also has to be taught, and we have to learn it ourselves, learn the skill of loving yourself.
So at the outset, I admit that I haven't read much of the ozone, but I do remember late 80s and 90s when Times of India was the only paper we used to get in Kashmir, and those were the days when we used to get the late city edition. I don't know the present generation even knows what late city edition is. So we used to look forward to the Sunday review because the glossiness of it, and it was something of an entertainment. I remember reading your first column on fashion and then high society. And then there were certain stereotypes I had in my head about the writer, like catering to a very niche kind of a section of the society. After a few years, I met Deepika, and Deepika told me, oh, Vinita is related to me, she's my cousin, Deepika is a very dear friend. And I asked her the same question, like, why did she write only about high society? And so I won't tell you what was her answer, but my question is, again, what Kausar already asked you, is Reimagine Your Life only about that niche section of the society, or is the message for everyone?
See, the messages in these columns, the ozone column that comes out every Sunday, is for everyone. It doesn't distinguish between various strata of society or who we are or what we are. It's for everyone. But it reaches only to the people who read the Times of India or who are on social media or who are on Facebook and who read the blog. That is exactly what Kausar was asking, that don't you think it's time to take it beyond that? And the way to take it beyond that is, like I'm here now talking about it, talking to people, and anybody and everybody can come here. There is no stopping anyone from coming. Through books, through articles that we write, and through the talks that we give, that's the only way, I think, to pass the message on. I'm very happy to find someone here who's been reading my high society and fashion columns as well.
We should look forward to that, because those are the only colored 4 pages we look at in a week.
So reimagining life and 40 minutes, this is a little unfair, I guess. You're trying to restrict. So
I must rule out that I'm here at the festival and you say you have read. This is the book, it's available in the bookstore for anybody who wants to. Even the earlier books are available. It's a collection of the columns, very short columns, and you'll find you'll be able to relate to them. Thank you so much for being here.
मैडम, यदि कोई व्यक्ति गलत है तो उसको ठीक करने की कोशिश करना चाहिए क्या?
अगर आपको लग रहा है कि वो गलत बोल रहा है तो आप सजेस्ट कर सकते हैं, लेकिन मैंने ये देखा है कि जब किसी को इस तरह से रोका जाए गलत बोलने से कि लगे कि हम कुछ सिखा रहे हैं किसी ऊंचे स्टेटस से, तो वो कभी भी ठीक तरह से नहीं लिया जाता। अगर ठीक तरीके से बताया जाए तो बिल्कुल बताना चाहिए।
So as we close this session, I would just like to shoot a 5-question rapid fire to you.
Yeah, that's what you threatened yesterday, and I'm a bit scared of this one.
It will be very simple. So your answers could be one word or.
We'll get the mics.
Yeah.
Can't hear you very well.
Can you have the mic now, please?
Or speak from the rostrum.
Right. So. Can you hear me?
No.
No, this is not working then.
You can share this.
Yeah, that's okay. So the answers could be either one word or one sentence. The first thing is, what I would want to know is, what advice would you give people if you were a love guru?
One word or a sentence?
One sentence.
Okay, I would tell them to love as deeply as they can and ensure that they are loved back as deeply as they can be.
What is essential to living a balanced life? What is that one thing which is essential?
Understanding yourself and thinking through every option that you have, so there are no regrets later.
Who's your anchor in life?
My husband. And I'll tell you why also. It's because he accepts me the way I am and gives me all the space that I need to do whatever I want to do. He's never stopped me from doing anything. He gives me my wings.
So I guess freedom it is. What does the country need the most today? What's that one thing the country needs the most today?
Love and peace.
And in line with ozone and the blogs that you write, what do you notice? What do you first notice about anyone? What did you notice about me?
It's eyes that I notice first of all, because I really believe eyes are the windows to the soul. And in you also, I noticed your eyes first of all. You have very kind, soulful eyes.
I think that's a wonderful way of closing this. I wouldn't want to take this any further. Thank you very much, audience.
Thank you, ma'am, for this insightful session.